So I'm Cynthia, and I'm the host of the reality series CPS The Horror Stories. I'm not an attorney or a social worker, but a mom who did have a CPS case. They did take my kids away after 2 years of fighting. I did get them back, but that doesn't mean we still don't go through the trauma and all of that struggle still to this day. I don't believe that CPS is about protecting kids anymore, but about the dollar sign that is stamped to each child's head. So, Kris, can you introduce yourself? Tell me where you're from and what you do and everything.
All right, so we'll start off. My name is Kris Eriksson. I want to say thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak with you guys today and kind of get my story out. I spent so long trying to build my case and kind of speak my piece, and it's never been able to kind of get out there. So I want to say thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
So I'm a 38-year-old father. Probably about 12 years ago, me and the kid's mother had split up. At the time, it was a lot of kind of not domestic violence, but a lot of mental abuse back and forth from the mother that was always drinking and just different things like that. Well, eventually, I ended up leaving the scene, and as soon as I left, the child support issue was brought up and forced on us because we had food stamps, Medicaid, and that kind of thing in the state of Texas. I'm sorry, I'm from Dallas, Texas as well. So in the state of Texas, basically the state go ahead, as soon as they find out you're not together anymore, they pick it up and they try to force one party into the agreement with the other party, whether that party wants to follow through or not. So long story, well, so at this point, we ended up going to court for child support and custody. Since I had left the house where the kids were, even though I was in constant contact with them at the time, I always went there and made sure I did the things for them. The court told me that I abandoned my children, and they forced me onto a 50-50 joint support order. And then at that time, it was like $300-something a month, $400 a month, I believe it was, plus the medical expenses, which ended up about $600-700 a month. So I paid that off and on for years and years. I didn't always pay on time. I didn't always do what I was supposed to. Eventually, I found out that the money was not going to the children. It went straight to the mom, and it went for different things such as alcohol, drugs, cars, tattoos, this, that, and the other, which, to each their own. It is what it is. You got to live your life. But when I get the information back from the kids, it's not going where it's going, and that becomes an issue to me. So at that point, I rose the issue with the court over and over. They said the reason that you don't want to pay, it doesn't matter because you have no proof of what's going on. It doesn't matter what you're using the money for. Your kids are taken care of. And at the time, she's living with her mom and dad. So at the point, she was never taking care of herself with the children. So, I got behind on child support because I took a cash job because I didn't want to support the habit of going to the mother and enable the basically non-support of the children, which the grandparents and the mother were involved with. So at the time, I had kind of stepped back. I was showing up for visits here and there. Eventually, I got to the point where I was unable to no longer come to visits because of the attitude of the grandparents and the mother. Always confrontational, always starting fights, wanting to call the cops, this, that, and the other. So eventually, I kind of was somewhat estranged from my children for a long time due to the lies and deceit of the other people involved. Eventually, a CPS case gets opened in my case in regards to my children and domestic violence between the mother and the father. At the time, the police were called 20 different times to the house. And at the 20th time, CPS finally was notified. But there was, again, the domestic violence. The mother and the stepfather were getting drunk, beating each other up, doing that kind of thing in front of the kids. Now, the kids never were physically hurt or anything like that I'm aware of, but definitely the emotional scars are there. So what we did was, I didn't even know about the CPS case. The CPS case was the second one actually in this mother's, that had been raised against this mother. She had a previous case with her third child that's not with me for trying to take her baby out of a hospital when she had the flu and the baby basically not moving. So she tried to take her baby out and take the IV out, excuse me. And then, so the hospital alerted CPS then and they opened the case. Now in that case, I was never notified by a special investigator, by a CPS officer, a court officer, or anybody. And at this time, we've had an open case. The court has my information. They send me a letter every month about what I owe and all of that kind of stuff. So they don't have it's not like they don't have contact with me. Mother had told these people that they didn't have contact with me. I disappeared. She didn't know where I was. She has all my information. So the first time they didn't contact me. So the second time was the one we're speaking of now, where the cops showed up 20 different times for the domestic violence. And in this case, the special investigator, again, never got in contact with me. No court officer, nobody. And all the while, we're steady going to court. And she's arguing for the best interest of the children and for me to pay more and more money. All the while, the CPS case is open. So we end up finally going through the 20 months of CPS. And the whole time we were, me and my wife now were treated basically as the criminals.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do anything. Everything was our fault. And we said it this much in court, and it was just kind of, it was really very weird. And in this 20 months, I had CPS show up, make claims that we didn't feed the children, that didn't come from the mother. They always said it came from the mother, but I know it came from the state because the mother has no idea what's going on one way or the other.
Right.
So these people come into the house, make accusations, and let me kind of back up. And actually, in May of 3 years ago, my son was having some issues in school, and this is when the CPS case started. And once I found out he was having issues in school, the school was not taking care of his bullying issues that he was being bullied on. They weren't addressing him not getting the homework done. They weren't addressing the grandparents not following through with making sure these things were done. I went to school, I withdrew him, and took him home at that point in time. Without any questions asked, I didn't care what anybody said. Brought him to my house, and then at this point, the court did not like that because they thought that I overstepped their boundaries because at this point, my child was in their possession. And so what happened was they showed up at my house. They showed up with some documents that were not signed from a judge whatsoever. They told me I was in violation of a court order and I should not have custody of my son at this point. They brought a police officer with them. This police officer, at first, everybody was cordial. I looked through the documents to make sure that I was not in violation of anything. Look over them. It's not signed by a judge. It's just a regular order saying, hey, this is what's going on and this is what's pending. This is what they went to the judge to go find out about, not signed. So at this point, I challenged them. And then at that point, the police officer kind of gets aggravated with me for challenging the question. Why they were there. He was saying, you're not in handcuffs yet. I should have you arrested. You're facing federal jail time. You're looking at a violation of a court order. And at that point, I already knew I'm not going to sit here and argue with the cops. The cops don't know the law like that. I have a public defender at that point, and I let them take him. They basically was under the threat of going to federal jail at that point in time in front of my son. So I was like, well, if I'm in jail, I can't fight for my son. So we let him go. 2 hours later, he was brought right back because I couldn't get a hold of my attorney at that time. And that was the one thing that my public defender did do in my case, was I was able to get a hold of him once they left, and he had them brought back to my house within 2 hours after that because it was an illegal, it was a kidnapping under false pretenses. And brought up to in court, nobody said anything. And it was the same thing over and over. And I said, why are y'all able to kidnap my kids? Why were you able to do that? And then I have to let you in my house for the next 18, 19 months while we figure this out. So that was one thing that I had that was an issue. But not only did they do that, they came in here and made false claims on the kids that they were lethargic, not having any kind of medical knowledge, and all kinds of this and that and the other. I had my public defender and the CPS lady over and over. They were fighting in the middle of the court hall because the attorney for the state, attorney for the kids, could not and would not follow any kind of direction. Everything was done in spite. Not only that, just like the father out in Frisco, Texas right now, whose little girl is having the same issues that kind of like a lot of us are having. Mm-hmm. The CPS tried to put a gag order on me because my kids were asking questions of me about what was going on. So since they had been lied to their whole lives, basically about issue after issue, I told them the truth. The court did not like that, and they tried to put the gag order on me as well. But that didn't work, and I wasn't going to work whether they had one or not. I was not going to sit there and be quiet. But it was just issue after issue with these people. And I'm just at a loss of words. I don't know what to say. And, after 20 months, I finally was able to stand up and confront the courts and every attorney, DA, and everyone involved until the point where I basically had them back off. After 20 months, they were still trying, my ex and the kid's mother was still failing drug tests, alcohol classes, not doing the things she was supposed to do, but they were still trying to, after 20 months, push it off, and try to give the kids back to her regardless. And it wasn't until that 20th month when I said, I'm not taking this anymore. I've done everything y'all asked me to do. We jumped through hoops for 20 months. Everything is done. I've taken 800 drug tests, came back negative, and I was not even an offender. So I was like, there's nothing else to do. If she doesn't want to follow her stuff, that's on her problem. I've done everything and we're not going to this anymore. So eventually they backed off. And I also threatened them with media and lawyers and this and that and the other. But I'm not sure if that even did anything. But my issue still at this point is, even for people who do win their custody cases, there's an issue with the courts where they do not want to follow their court orders. I'm being wage garnished at this point for 20 months after having full custody of my kids. I've been repeatedly told by the court there is no order to be wage garnishing at this point. And, I don't understand how I'm supposed to take care of my kids when it's being wage garnished and they're telling me it's not going to the other parent, but they're holding it. But what are you holding it for? So I'm just kind of like, I don't even know what's going on. I brought it to the attention. I've told the court. Everybody passes the buck from person to person to person. Nobody wants to speak up and take accountability for the things that they've done. There was no accountability for the perjury from the state in the courts. There was no accountability for the kidnapping of my son, which is verified in court. And these are the things that really bother me. That it's obvious at this point that the state is worried about the best interest of the state and the money they're generating for the therapist, everything else that goes along with what CPS involves you and makes you do. And I've had the GAL tell me straight point blank that this is not meant to help people get their kids back. This is meant for you to jump through 4,000 hoops and get tired of doing it and then run away and go home.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's been crazy.
Yeah. So what's going on now?
So at this point, October 1st, I have a case. And this case is going to be the same thing, trying to negotiate the back due, if there's back due there. I've been arguing the fact that there should be no back due because the court, and we've already proven that there was child neglect, there was domestic violence. The money has never went to the children. The children want to speak up in court, and the court won't even allow it. And my children are 15 and 13, so they're not like young kids. So we're going through that right now, and then potentially they're trying to put her on child support now because obviously I'm not on there no longer, so they're trying to get their money somewhere.
Wow.
So October 1st, I will be going to them and trying to find out what is going on, why I've been being robbed basically for 3 years, why the court order from the court in the Attorney General's office will not be followed, and see how that goes from there. Because it's been the same thing. We've been to court 6 times now since I've had full custody, trying to wrap this part up. It's just pushed off, and pushed off. Meanwhile, the interest is building up and everything else with the child support. And I mean, it's kind of crazy when you have your kids and you're going to work, you're working 40, 50 hours a week, and then you're working all day and you're only making $30 a day. And you're making $15, $16 an hour. And then that money's coming out of your house, and then you're having to go to your kids, and your kids want things, and you're like, well, hey, half the money gets taken still, and I don't know how to explain it to you and talk with you that we're trying to do everything we can, but we can't go out and have fun and do the things that we all want to do because the state still doesn't want to follow what they should be doing.
Right.
So at this point, I'm basically, I just want to kind of make a lot of people aware that there's still a long fight after the custody battle. And I want you to, you have to stand up for yourself. You have to be professional. You have to learn the laws and the rights that involve in regard to your specific situation. It can be done. And you're proof, we're all proof. There's a lot of people out here that done it, but the fight never ends.
Right.
And I know that I'm mentally, I have bad anxiety problems now because of it. And basically, because when CPS shows up and does this, it would be the second time. And when you're losing your kids the second or third time, it gets worse every time.
I know. I don't know if you heard me yesterday, but I had the police knock on my door.
No, I didn't hear this one yesterday.
Scared the shit out of me. Because I live in an apartment complex and my daughter was screaming bloody murder. And somebody called, she was throwing a temper tantrum. Mm-hmm. Nothing, like, just not.
Yeah, just doing what kids do.
Yeah. Police doing a check on your child because your neighbor called and said your daughter was screaming for help.
It's just nuts. And the thing that really bothers me is that it only fits their narrative when it fits their narrative. It's happening to mothers, it's happening to fathers, it's happening to grandmas, grandpas, brothers, sisters, uncles, and that's what bothers me. And ever since I've had this case open, I've joined a lot of, obviously, Fight CPS, Fight Family Core groups and things like this. I'm talking to hundreds and hundreds of people and different things daily, and it's the same story over and over. The more I hear it, the more it just eats at me.
So ridiculous.
And it comes from the policy. It starts with the policy and the people that are in the the employees. They're just doing what they're told, like everybody else.
Right.
So we need to start with the policy.
Something, huh?
Yeah. Anything can be. It's got to be better than what we're doing. And I've also spoken with. I have friends who have came out of the system as CPS people, kids that were taken from one home to another. Now they say that they were taken from one home to another, but they never say really anything positive about it. Nobody I've spoke to has said, "Oh, I love CPS. I love the fact that they came and got me, and the place I was always better." And I haven't heard any statement like that. I'm sure they're out there, but when you're out there, and I've been actively searching for those people, I'm trying to find someone from kind of the inside that had it good. You know what I mean? I want to know that story because the only thing I hear is nothing but bad stories.
I haven't heard any good stories.
88% bad stories, 90% bad stories, then what we're doing is not right.
Right. So what would you tell people that are going through this?
I would say that it's going to be a long, hard road, but don't give up and make sure you have faith in yourself and the kids. What helped me win was walking in and talking to the judge. I didn't treat anyone else like they were standing there in the court. I didn't care what they had to say because it was all a show. And that's what they're there for, is to put on a show. So to me, I didn't care about any of that. I didn't feed into it. Don't listen to it. Right. Don't let those people tear you down. Don't let them make you feel bad. We already got enough of that in the world as it is. These people don't know you, and they have no authority. CPS is a nonprofit organization run by private people. They have no real authority, but they try to scare us into thinking that. So do your research. Be my best thing to say.
Yep.
And staying strong, make sure you question everything and make sure you speak up and fight for yourself.
Yep. Wow. So when do you think this is going to be over for you?
I don't think it's ever going to be over for me because at this point, it's become more of a mission for me. Even when my case ends, it doesn't end anymore because there's too many of us out there having the same problem. And I've been done over too many times where now it's it's been a slap in the face so many times. I can't take it as anything less. I can't try to reason it away. I can't say, oh, it's just that, it's neglect, it's this, it's that. No, it's been a straight slap to the face. That's how I'm going to take it. They wanted to look at me and stare me down and think I was going to back off. So it's time for me to do the same to them.
Yeah.
And I want to stand behind anyone that will, and will fight for themselves. And I have no problem with talking and being around for support or anything for anyone that may need it. Just not easy.
Right. Right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story. And I'd like to know when your case officially ends, like closes. And, you know, if anything happens in between here and then, let us know so then we can do an update.
That sounds good. And again, I very much appreciate y'all reaching out to me. Again, like I was just commenting, and I didn't really have any inkling or thought about reaching out to y'all to kind of speak my case. But once I was given that opportunity, I know I'm kind of a little anxious and nervous. It's hard speaking about the case. And
absolutely, it is.
So many things going on. But
I get goosebumps all day long because I listen and it all scares the heck out of me. And I went through it, and I just hate it.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, especially for those of us that have had the worst end of it and deal with CPS. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Yeah. I'd rather, you know, it'd have been much easier to take a bullet to the face and have to deal with any of that. And at the end of the day, but you know what? I don't regret it one bit. And I'll stand up for the kids, and I'll stand up for anyone else's kids and behind them and with them. Let's do something. Let's make a movement. Let's get something going for once.
Well, that's what I'm doing here, and I'm starting to reach out to networks to see if somebody wants to take this show and, you know, put it out there. It would
be awesome. It would be awesome. I very much am grateful that y'all are out there doing it, because this is the only people I've seen giving someone really an outlet other than being able to post in the Facebook groups. So,
yeah.
While that helps, this is, you know, can help get a lot more action done.
Yes, absolutely. So
again, most definitely, I will keep you updated. And again, thank you so much.
You're welcome. It was
so nice to meet
you. It's
nice to meet you as well. And I do want to say, I know I'm out here in Dallas, Texas, and we're staying with Sophie. We're not playing around with these kids and getting rid of CPS, if that's what the case may be. We're going to stand up, we're going to fight, and we don't care what happens to us in the meantime on the front lines. Let's do it.
We're here for Sophie too. Justice for Sophie.
For everybody.
Yes.
I very much appreciate you again, and everybody
You're so
watching.
Welcome.
Y'all take care.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You do the same. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.